The LinkedIn magic, the professional network where all people are serious, but no one really is.
Alex Hormozi just dropped a bombshell about LinkedIn that changes everything. The average user spends about 6 minutes per day on the platform, but here's what's interesting. While everyone's chasing vanity metrics on Twitter and Instagram, the smartest business owners are quietly making millions on LinkedIn. Now, how do I know? That's because after managing and generating over 4 million in client revenue just through LinkedIn, I can tell you Hormozi is absolutely right. I recently made a video actually discussing Hormozi's thoughts on LinkedIn, but after watching this latest one, I just had to show you it. So in this video, I'm going to break down his new LinkedIn strategy and show you 3 main things. 1, why the 6-minute video is actually an advantage. 2, the hidden growth hack most people miss. And then 3, why LinkedIn has the highest conversion of any other platform. So let me show you exactly how we can use these insights to generate 30 plus qualified calls for your business, or how we do it for our clients every single month.
The next question is, how many people in the United States are on LinkedIn? And this one was kind of surprising to me. It was 30%. So I actually thought it'd be way lower than that because I figured no one uses LinkedIn. But it turns out a lot of people use LinkedIn, just not as much as you'd think in terms of per day. And so the average amount of time spent on LinkedIn per day per LinkedIn users is about 7 minutes. So way lower than a lot of the other platforms.
So in that very short clip, there was a lot of very interesting data. One was there are a lot of people using LinkedIn. Now, I think Hormozi forgot to mention the fact that the concentration of decision makers using on LinkedIn is extremely high. So even though the number might be whatever it is, what percentage of that population are CEOs, founders, CFOs, CMOs, any people that can make decisions on budget and buy your services? It's actually a very high proportion. So LinkedIn is a very concentrated, dense place to find decision makers to buy your products. Now, the second point Hormozi mentioned is the 7-minute user time. Now, yes, that may seem small compared to Instagram or TikTok, but is it really? So firstly, let's consider the power users of LinkedIn. They're SaaS founders, they're agency founders, they're marketing leaders, they're sales leaders, they're professional services. Now, these people are using LinkedIn a lot more than 6 minutes. I can tell you that for a fact, because they're using it for prospecting, they're using it for marketing. These people are also buying your services. So this 6-minute number is probably correct on an average, but probably not correct to the people you want to sell into. And if that's decision makers that are high up in companies, they're spending a lot more time on LinkedIn. Another point to consider is what type of content are they consuming on LinkedIn. Now, on Instagram, you might be watching memes and reels, but on LinkedIn, you're learning how to grow your business. You're learning how to book in more sales calls, how to improve your finances. There is a much deeper level of content. And so forth. It's not a big surprise that the usage time is a bit lower. So if you are posting content on LinkedIn, don't post, hey, here's 42 leadership lessons. Post really specific content that speaks to your ICP, because if you only got 6 minutes or whatever time you have, you better make it worth your while. So here's an example post from Paolo, my co-founder, where we were selling into agency owners. So he said, I have sold 500,000 in agency deals via LinkedIn DMs. Like, we could have made a very top funnel post, but this is very specific. This is talking about selling deals to agencies via DMs. There's only a very small percentage of people that can ever resonate with this post. So when I'm creating content for a small viewership time, I'm trying to be very specific with who sees my content. So yes, 6 minutes, it's a small amount of time. Yes, there is a small amount or large amount of people on LinkedIn, but really it's the people that you want to sell to. And that's what makes it incredibly valuable.
So let's talk about growth. So growth for me and growth for you should probably be incredibly important, because if the point of advertising is to let people know about your stuff, you want platforms that let way more people than already know about you know about your stuff. And so I give LinkedIn a medium to high, and I'll explain why. So LinkedIn is super shareable and very connection driven. And so the part that I would say is high about it is that there's a lot of people who share on LinkedIn. It's very common to share stuff. It's kind of like a sharing culture. And when you create high value stuff, people want the association with that value, and then they share it publicly because it makes them look like they've got, they're thought leaders. Now, the flip side is the reason that I still have this medium anchor is that because it's connection driven. So think about it like a hinge. So if you have 10 people, a lot of your posts will get shown to people who are friends with your connections.
So Hormozi is exactly right. LinkedIn is a connection algorithm. So what that means is when you make a post, let's say you have 1,000 followers or connections, your post is initially distributed to those 1,000 people. Not all 1,000 people will see it, maybe 100, maybe 200. Now, depending on the engagement that those people give to your post, if it exceeds a certain milestone, LinkedIn then passes it into the next band. So it further extends it to maybe your wider first 3 connections. And throughout this process, it begins to let it it expand to your second degree and third degree connections. So these are people that are connected to the people that you know. Now, yes, this is a limitation because your post can't go outside your network, but isn't this actually a good thing? You're able to now have your post go out to people that more or less know who you are already in a connection growth mechanism. So let's say my first degree connection comments on my post and their friend sees that post because of that comment. Now, yes, that's a limiting factor because it only went so far, but isn't that a good thing? Now, if a second degree connection saw my post, it's actually a good thing because they're seeing it in the lens that they are already connected to me in an indirect way through my first degree connection. So it actually helps my social proof and it helps me build a network faster. Now, you may be thinking, oh, what's the point of posting if I can never get outside my first degree connection? Well, that's incredibly wrong. So firstly, you can grow your connections with outbound campaigns. So you can set up a connection automated campaign. We do this for all our clients and we do it to target the people that we want to speak to. So we start planting seeds in the networks we want to grow. And that's an incredibly powerful mechanism. And the second thing we do is we do viral lead magnets. What we do in viral lead magnets is we create an amazing resource, we give it away, and with the fuel of everyone commenting on this post, it ends up creating an amazing effect. And that effect is that lots and lots of people see the post. You get lots and lots of impressions. And in doing so, you can explode your network every week or so to massively expand. So yes, Hormozi sees this as a limitation somewhat, but there are hacks to get around it. And when you're the only one using those techniques, you grow faster on the platform.
So let's get on to the drum roll of conversion. Now, LinkedIn, so think about like, TikTok is like a bomb or like a sprinkler, right? LinkedIn is like you've got a hose with a laser pointer on it and you can shoot whoever you want with it, all right? And so the conversion ability on LinkedIn is extremely high. All right, and I'm gonna talk about this in a couple different vectors. So number one is it's very high because there's a ton of sophisticated tools. LinkedIn is built for outbound, meaning you can get incredibly targeted with your searchability criteria for prospects. And so if you want to find hedge fund managers who are in this state and above this age, you can do that. And so LinkedIn has something called Sales Navigator that you can use. 40% of B2B marketers say that this is their primary channel for getting customers.
So exactly right, LinkedIn is an incredibly good conversion platform. You can get incredibly narrow of who you speak about in your posts, but as Hormozi mentioned, you can get incredibly narrow about who you outreach to. So I'm going to very quickly show you that on screen. For example, you can do very quick account filters. So you can find every company, for example, that is a software company, let's say that has 200 employees. So you can use that as a proxy for revenue that is growing, let's say 10%. So you know they got a budget that maybe let's say is in the United States, and you instantly have a very, very clean list of people that you can speak to. There's 414 very good companies here. You can also do lead filters. So you can do the same stuff, but you can look for, all the CEOs of that company. Like that's incredibly powerful. So if I put CEO, again, now I can see that there are potentially around 2,500 CEOs that work at those types of companies. So again, incredibly, incredibly powerful. So our DM strategy to book calls, given this data, is to go out and to connect with them first with a blank connection request. We don't want to say anything in the connection request. We don't want to come off as salesy. Now, once we have that connection request, we do two paths. One is we create awesome content for those connections, and sometimes they just come inbound. They see our content, they like it, they engage with it, they come inbound. The second way we do it is we send them a message to Icebreak, basically a message that doesn't try to sell them anything. It just basically asks them a very easy to answer question. So for example, say if they were a company that was using a certain CRM and we wanted to be someone that helped install that CRM, we would say, hey, are you using that CRM? We kind of know if it's going to be a yes or a no, but we begin to start that conversation. Now, when we do that process, we end up having a lot of conversations with qualified leads. And when you want to qualify leads before you reach out to them, it's very easy again, because you have this tool that lets you do it. You can literally input all the filters you need. You can say they post on LinkedIn, and as a result, you end up getting very specific about who you speak to, both in your content and in your DMs, which makes conversions a hell of a lot easier. We typically get anything from a 30 to 60% acceptance rate on connection requests, and we're typically able to book anything from 15 to 30 calls a month through a combination of content and DMs, again, depending on the niche and depending on who you're selling into.
And before I move on to results, I want to give you a little hack here for the growth. One of the biggest growth methods right now on LinkedIn is getting large accounts to comment on your stuff. And so if a large account comments on your thing, it gets shown to all of their following. And so it's a massive leverage point. Like, think about a comment almost as a collab. And so you want to do whatever you can to attract those bigger accounts. And I'll tell you an easy hack for this. Write about them. Talk about how great this person is or how great a particular piece of content they made is. Like, actually write something significant. and you have a high likelihood that they will say like, hey, thanks, or this was awesome. And the longer their response is, the more engagement draws to you.
So again, Hormozi is exactly right. The LinkedIn algorithm is fueled by comments. So the more comments you receive on your post, the better it performs and the more reach it gets. Now, do I agree with Hormozi's advice that the way to get influential people to comment on your posts is to write about them? No, I don't. The reason why I don't is because that ruins your authority and frame. If I was a person posting about how amazing Hormozi is, which I can do, and it works to some degree on top funnel, I'm not speaking about how amazing I am or my business is. That's not going to serve the point. And is Hormozi going to comment on one of my posts that is trying to sell myself? Very unlikely. So we use it as a top funnel piece, and you can think of it this way, but I don't recommend doing it, and we don't really do it either. On the other hand, how do you get influential people to comment on your posts? Well, you write really good damn posts. The better the post you write, the more engagement you attract. So it's a chicken and egg situation. You actually want to create better content to get people to see you, as opposed to trying to hack it and just talking about the awesome people, but as soon as you start talking about yourself, they'll never comment anyway. So it doesn't really solve anything. Now, the reason why Hormozi is mentioning it this way is because I think someone wrote about him and then he comments on their posts and he sees those engagements explode. So that's his degree of visibility. Our degree of visibility on 40 plus LinkedIn accounts is it doesn't really work that way because we want to sell stuff down the line.
So drum roll for the results, and this will surprise you. Over 9% plus of my traffic to my site comes from LinkedIn. And the average session duration of these people is over 40 seconds. All right, so it's higher than every other platform besides YouTube. All right, so really strong intent from these people. Now, let me give you the 1000 IQ move that is the reason that I like LinkedIn a lot. So for me, we have a portfolio of companies at acquisition.com. Right now, it's just under 10 companies that do over $250 million a year in revenue. And so we constantly are recruiting high-level talent for our portfolio companies and for our holding company at acquisition. And so the biggest unspoken ROI that I get from LinkedIn and that Layla gets from LinkedIn is that our DMs are about recruiting. So we can go directly headhunt some of the best people in the world. And because we have followings, because they can look at the stuff we put out there, the response rates that we get are higher than any other platform for talent.
Boom. So I've actually seen this firsthand. We've more or less built our whole team using LinkedIn to find amazing talent to then work at our LinkedIn agency. Now, the way and the reason why this works so well is because, as Hormozi mentioned, you have all this social proof and you have all this clear explanation of what you do, and you're effectively marketing outwards. So also candidates see that marketing and they like that marketing and they want to work for your company. That's like piece one. Piece two is like LinkedIn is actually a job platform in the grand scheme of things. Recruiters use it, people use it to find jobs, so the frame of mind is correct to be getting in a team. And the final point is when top tier talent wants to hang out, they hang out on LinkedIn. They want to learn more, they want to be better at their job, and that's where they learn about their job. The other cool point that Hormozi mentioned is that the time duration of people coming from LinkedIn into his website is just under YouTube. Like, that's big. It presents such a small amount of traffic in his whole mix, and that's because I don't think he's doing it completely right, but it presents a small traffic in his mix, but it clearly results in a huge amount of dwell time or time spent on his website. Now, I don't know how that correlates into leads or down the funnel, but that's incredibly valuable. So how do we use LinkedIn to generate ROI and results through hiring? Well, we put out amazing posts that basically say, we're looking to hire this person. These are the benefits we're going to give you. This is why we're so awesome as a company. Find the application link down below. And you can scroll through our posts, and I'll scroll on the side and you can see those posts as well. They work really well. We essentially fill out our hiring pools simply by doing these posts and running LinkedIn job ads. Very, very easy. Now, our best clients love us for this. Our best clients are actually always searching for talent. So when we do this for them, they get better talent into their pool. They end up closing more talent into their business, and then they can come back to us and we can get them more leads for their business so they can grow faster. So it's actually a very good place where you can solve acquisition and you can solve fulfillment of your business at the same time. So look, there's a reason why Hormozi is speaking about LinkedIn at all. It's because it's an absolute goldmine. For him, it's about hiring. For other business, it's completely about acquisition. So you can either keep posting random content that doesn't stick, waste the 6 minutes of time that you have available to you from your audience, or struggle to get quality leads, or you can implement what I've shown you today and start getting results immediately. You can start booking in between 15 and 30 calls per month from LinkedIn as an inbound funnel. All you need to do is check the links down below.